Hello and welcome to France 24's music show, which this week will be packed full of ladies, including my guest, whose effervescent pop and stage persona will take you to a crystal-filled parallel universe. She counts among her influences Kate Bush, Prince, Fever Ray and France's Mylène Farmer, which isn't such a big surprise when you know that she lived in France from the age of 7 before moving back to the north of England when she was 12. Elisabeth Elektra currently resides in Glasgow, Scotland, and joins us for a chat about her first album that came out just a few weeks ago. Elisabeth, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Mercurial is your first album under the name Elisabeth Elektra, and it's got a very magical theme running through it with references to planets. Some track titles are both mythical and mystical, and your look as a performer is also very White Witch, goddess-like. How did you come up with such a universe?
I think it all just sort of happened quite naturally, to be honest with you. It's, I've always been interested in esoteric things ever since I was really little, since I was a kid. So I think it's sort of natural that it would have fed into my art. And, there was a while I was a performer where I tried to hide it and people would still be like, oh, this is very mystical. So I thought I should just, embrace it.
There's also this idea of transcending universes and reconnecting with the loved ones that are no longer here. And grief is something that nearly every human being will experience at one point in their life. How cathartic was making this album in relation to your own personal experience?
I think it was a very cathartic process. One of the things that's always helped me process my own grief, whether it's personal grief or collective, is being able to connect with other people who've had a shared experience. And I think that music does that. It sort of connects people together. And the process of being able to put those experiences that might be things that I can't really articulate verbally into music was really quite a powerful thing.
Now, there's also some incredibly upbeat songs on the album, such as this infectious tune.
Can you see her beauty? It is not skin deep. Can you see her beauty? It is not yours to keep. I am crying for my sisters, they have fallen from the edge of the world. I am crying for my sisters, they have fallen outside the earth.
Elisabeth Elektra's My Sisters there, a song that's an ode to women past, present and future, and includes a nod to those that were persecuted. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about the women who inspired this track?
I think this song's really inspired by all women. I'm constantly amazed by how wonderful women are, all different kinds of women. And I think, it's particularly for women whose voices have been maybe not centered in our society. And I feel like things are changing. So that's really what the song's about.
Your first album has just been released in the middle of a pandemic. How much extra stress did that add to you as an independent artist?
I mean, it's hard to tell because I don't know what kind of stress I would have been under if the pandemic hadn't been happening, but it has been intense. I think it's been an odd time to be putting music out because you worry if it's like, there's so much pain and people are really struggling, and to be sort of promoting something is strange, but I've always felt like my music can be healing and uplifting, and I feel like the response has been really positive.
Lockdowns have seen a blossoming of internet concerts and gigs, mostly for free or in aid of charity. And as the events have got more creative and ambitious, some artists now want to charge for tickets. And in any case, rocking out online is here to stay, as Peter O'Brien reports.
If you were lucky enough to catch a virtual gig from one of your favourite artists recently, you'll be pleased to hear it might not just be a quarantine fad. But in the future, you may need to pay for them. Championing the idea is Jean-Michel Jarre, electronic music pioneer.
On a devant nous des choses extraordinaires à explorer. C'est-à-dire qu'on peut emmener les gens en direct dans des mondes virtuels, dans des espaces qu'on ne peut absolument pas recréer sur scène. Il y a des tas de choses qu'on peut inventer, mais qui méritent le fait que les gens acceptent de ne pas se dire au-delà de 3 ou 5 euros, c'est trop.
Soprano Barbara Hendricks has already taken the initiative with a paid concert to help refugees through the pandemic. The only difference being that her audience stayed at home.
J'étais un peu inquiète de faire un concert sans public. Même on a la salle derrière nous, on voit la salle vide. Et une fois qu'on avait commencé, c'était comme si on était dans une salle pleine avec les gens devant nous.
Avec de me lever parce que vous me le demandez.
What they lack in the excitement of a packed crowd, virtual gigs could make up for with new experiments in creativity. For festival organisers, they're a new offering, not a replacement.
L'émotion n'est pas numérisable. Le public, pour moi, c'était un des musiciens du concert. Donc un concert est bon quand le public est bon. Et je trouve que cette frénésie, cet échange, ce partage, cette émotion collective ne peut pas se vivre derrière son téléphone ou son ordinateur.
US rapper Travis Scott, for one, might be more optimistic about the idea. His performance in April within the popular video game Fortnite was attended virtually by more than 12 million people, more than 3 times as many as the biggest analogue gigs in history.
And Elisabeth, how do you feel about producing an online show?
I haven't done it yet, but it's definitely something that I'm interested in doing. My focus has just been elsewhere recently. I think it's a great idea, and I'm happy that artists are doing it, and I'm happy that they're charging, with everything being as uncertain as it is at the moment. I think it's great.
Well, how about you give us a little live performance in just a few minutes? But first, in the meantime, let's take a look at some other new releases. And we head to Nigeria first, where Afropop queen Yemi Alade is currently putting the finishing touches to her 5th album. That's less than a year since her last record, Woman of Steel, came out. So what has the first African female artist to reach over 100 million views on YouTube got in store for us? Here's a little glimpse through her latest single, Boys.
Me, I like boys on the low. Put the back boys where they go. I like the boy where we bro. Where they give me hot when he go. We on the road with the finest. All the boys they behind us. Too much glow where they bang them. We are feeling me say.
Very much hoping to interview her soon for France 24. Now, Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Norah Jones, who is back with a new record, Pick Me Up Off the Floor, an 8th solo album, which she was supposed to be touring with none other than Mavis Staples. Now, hopefully they can reschedule. In the meantime, here's one of the tracks.
You can hope and pray. You can moan. Maybe things will change. You feel your soul get hollowed out while the world implodes. You just live with that.
And that's it. We're coming up to the end of Encore's music show. A special thanks to Elisabeth Elektra, who has been my guest today and whose music is, amongst others, available on the platform Bandcamp. Now, the latest news is coming up on France 24 in just a few minutes. Remember, you can follow our culture news on the Encore Twitter, Facebook and Instagram pages, as well as the France 24 website. Elisabeth, you're going to play us out with one of your tracks. Can you tell us a bit about it?
This song is called Sadie. It's the first song I ever wrote. So, it's a love song, and I hope you enjoy it. And I saw the lines on her face blossom through cracks in the wall.
heat of summer, moon dry, till it was no more. I love more than I could speak.
It's the dawn of a new source of pollution linked to the coronavirus. Masks and gloves discarded on roads and sidewalks, many of them already making their way to the seafloor. But what if we could prolong the life of these disposable objects? That's this week on Down to Earth.
Down to Earth on France 24 and France24.com.